very much, by the way, for posting. I'm thrilled.
No
I'm
problem.
thrilled you're
Okay,
participating.
we're back.
Are we
Now,
back?
Chris, you can continue.
Excellent. So, Anita, one of the things that I noticed is you got a whole bunch of different segments and sections. And when I was posting on here, I believe I have the option to actually click and promote to Facebook too. Is that correct? I'm trying to look. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Yeah.
I'm always afraid to.
Yes.
I'm always afraid to push that because I don't know where it goes. Does it go to my site? Does it go to your site? Or what's the what happens there?
If you are posting something and you click post to Facebook, it's going to appear on your Facebook
Oh, okay.
page, on your wall. And provided you're logged into Facebook, you have to be logged into Facebook at the same time when you do that, or it'll prompt you to log in. Yep. Now, you don't have to post it, but we just thought that might be kind of nice. People might like to share.
Yeah.
And it's actually a feature that's built into vBulletin. The vBulletin software is great software for forums. It's absolutely wonderful. And they have improved it over the years, and they keep improving it every single month. It's terrific.
That's a good little viral marketing tip there.
And that is so good. You know, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to have those sharing buttons on websites, and how important social media is today to a blog, for instance. You know, with so many websites, so many blogs out there today compared to when I started, you know, 10 years ago practically. You need a little push. So you need that social media to help other people find out about you. You know, back in the day when there weren't that many blogs, somehow all the bloggers found one another. We all had blog rolls on our blogs. We there were blog rings and so on. There people did a lot of linking to other blogs. There were all these sources like Technorati that you could go to, and Technorati's still there, but people sort of hung on those back then. You know, today it's a different landscape. People are going to Twitter, they're going to Facebook, they're checking out LinkedIn updates, and so that's where you need to be if you want people to learn about your website, about your blog, what you're doing, what you're up to.
And the number one rule, I think, of writing a blog is to create, well, do it all the time, obviously, but also create good content, right? And that's probably, I mean, that's why you probably do so well on this, is because you guys have such exceptional content across the different sites that you have.
Yeah, and you know, and one thing I've learned too is if you want to be a publisher, like our business is publishing, that really is our business. So for a lot of people, a blog might be a marketing arm. Maybe the person is a consultant, and so the blog is a way to establish their expertise out in the world. But the real business that the person is in is as a consultant, speaker, writer, whatever it is. But if you were going to be a publisher, if I had to boil it down to one thing that makes all the difference, it is frequency of publishing. You know, and that doesn't mean just throwing up slop. It doesn't mean that you can republish stuff that's been published somewhere else and hope to make a go of it. But it does mean that you do have to publish frequently, because the more you publish, the more posts you have that have the potential to get indexed in the search engines. The more posts you have that will get socialized and put out on Twitter, an opportunity for others to retweet and amplify and therefore find your site and spread your message. And then that sort of feeds on itself and grows over time. So, you know, it's very important to publish a lot. And it's hard for a lot of small businesses that are running a blog as a company blog, for example, to help bring visibility to their product or service, or you know, to themselves as a professional, because it's hard to find the time to publish. And that's why guest posting is so wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm looking forward to actually putting some guest posts up for you guys. Hopefully you'll accept them. I'm looking forward to it. So We've talked about small business trends and also the forums, which I love the forums. People should get to that. Have you got the forums up? Have you showed people how to get there?
I have them. Yes,
Yeah,
we've been cutting to them on a regular basis here. Yeah,
/members. And I highly recommend, because you're not really officially launching it yet, but I'm putting a push on for you. Hopefully people will see this and sign up for it. The one I love and how I first got connected into your world is bizsugar. And I got to admit, the first time I saw bizsugar, I saw the little logo somewhere, and I'm like, what is bizsugar? And I remember going and clicking on it. I'm looking at it. I'm going, wow, this is great. Because there was, it's as you say. Why don't you tell people what it is?
Let's hear it from you.
Let's hear it from you, and I'll give you my take and how much I love it.
Okay, well, it's totally a community site. It is a site. The whole purpose of it is for small business owners, managers, entrepreneurs, work at home people, whatever, to come and share your blog posts or videos with the world, and also to discover others by others. And so you come, you submit a blog post or a video, and it goes on the site, and others get to see it. And if they vote it up, it gets to the home page. And when it gets to the home page, it has the potential to get in our top 10 of the week. And then we have a big newsletter that goes out to over 100,000 people every Friday morning. And the top 10 and their sites get listed in the newsletter. Mm-hmm. So I know it's quite a feather in many people's caps to be listed in the top 10.
Yep.
But it's very simple. It's just all about sharing your content, and it's not about us. We don't write original content except for a little bit on the blog that's associated with that, where we might recognize the contributor of the week, or we hold contests and things. But really, the focus of the site is all about sharing the content on your own site to bring visibility to your own site.
And I see that it also links directly to the person's blog. It's not like you're pulling the articles into your site. It actually it's basically a directory of the blogs, and then you're actually pulling traffic towards your own blog site. I guess the idea is to tantalize them with good, valuable content and a snippet that shows up on the actual bizsugar site. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct. And it is a way for, especially new and young and small business blogs to get known, because people do see the content, and if they want to read the article, they have to click through and go back to your site where they read the full article. There is a short snippet, but it's only, it's a small number of words, and you really have to read and go back to the original site for the full article.
bizsugar is as of right now, my 10th largest source of traffic to my website. So, but that's because I contribute quite a bit on there. Well, I'm sorry, I'm kind of, I guess, a publicity whore. I post my own stuff up there, but I find it's a great mechanism for people to find my content and come through and look at it.
And it's a great way to, you connect with people through that, like we're doing, and we've done through bizsugar, because you discover new people. And, I've met so many people through bizsugar. I have to tell you the story of how I came to be the CEO of bizsugar, too. There's a little story behind that if we have time.
Please do.
Sure,
as we have as much time as you have, except we have to pick kids up at 3 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. So that's our only time limit on this one. So
Okay. So the story of bizsugar is, I did not found it. It was actually started by John Holson of I think DBH Communications in Kansas City, Missouri, and he started it in 2007. And somehow someone posted an article or two from Small Business Trends on bizsugar, and I started seeing we got some traffic from bizsugar, and we might have gotten a track back. So naturally, being intrigued, I went over to check it out.
Yep.
And I also was like blown away by it. I was like, oh, what a great little site this is, bizsugar. Oh, I love it. And somehow through that, I got to know the owner of the site. I don't even remember how that happened. And then I invited him on my radio podcast show, and we would talk via email occasionally. And then we got to talking about, well, are there ways to partner? And nothing really came to mind. But one day we were having a discussion by phone about partnering, and one thing led to another. And I said, I'd be interested, if you're ever interested in selling bizsugar, I'd be interested in buying it because it fits so well with my mission of serving the small business market. And he said, well, I wasn't really thinking of selling it, but, let's talk some more. And that's how I ended up. Offering, and then he accepted the offer, and I bought the site in 2009.
Wow.
And once we got the site over, we really expanded it a lot. We did a lot of upgrading, and it's grown quite a bit since then. It's grown like at least 20 times over since we bought it. But that was the story of how I got that. And it became a way for me to actually acquire a site through networking.
Oh, interesting. That's an awesome way to grow your business.
Was it called bizsugar right from the start? Like right from the start?
It was, and I wish I could say I came up with that name. I think it's a brilliant name, but no, that was John Holson's brilliant idea, and he really wanted to play on the idea of give these blog posts a little sugar,
Yeah.
which is kind of this Southern American colloquialism.
Well, I really do like the fact that the small business trends is we've got our pool of authors. This one is that whole community effect of taking stuff and just let me share this information that I find that's really cool. And I do the same thing. When I find cool stuff, I'll post it up on here. Not necessarily my content, so I guess I'm at least paying it forward on some of this stuff, but. It's great because your little search box here. I did a video once on one of my posts on. I've done a couple on bizsugar so far, and just in the search box, you just type in terms and just the stuff that pops up. And I have garnered so many information, and I'm giving away a secret here. When I originally, before I was interviewing authors and I needed to come up with blog posts, I'd go in here and type stuff up that I was looking for, and I'd look for certain bits of information, and it would just be like, boom, I can write about that. Boom, I can write about that. It was a great thing. And I'd imagine even sitting there as a small business, if you're stumped and you're trying to figure out how do I get, let's use angel funding, for example. How do I get an angel investor? Punch something in here, and it's like, boom, all of a sudden you go, perfect. I never thought about going down that avenue before. It's such a tremendous resource for small businesses. I rave. You're, a convert.
No, it absolutely is. And I'll give you a little secret too. We recently, on all of our sites, we moved from the standard search that the software provides to Google custom search, which is like 100 times better than any search that either WordPress or Plig has internally. And, you're able to find so much more now when you search using that Google custom search. So I highly recommend it. I know, people have mixed feelings about Google, kind of a love-hate relationship sometimes, but I will tell you that the search is way better than WordPress search. Because the problem I have with WordPress search is it's fine if you're searching for one word. If you try to search for phrases, it just completely falls flat.
Yeah.
Whereas Google custom search handles phrases very, very well. It's very intelligent.
It's actually a good point. I never even thought about that. Afterwards, I'm gonna go look for Google search for WordPress plugin. I'm sure there's one out there somewhere on this stuff. Anyways, bizsugar, same sort of thing. It's just it's community sharing content, and you've got across the top. I'm sure Kirsten's put it up, but you've got your homepage, but you got marketing with a whole bunch of subsections underneath it: finance, franchise, legal, management, news, technology, startups, and you've got your own blog section in there as well. Yeah. And there are a ton of wonderful, awesome people on here. That I've come across. Well-known authors in the sales and marketing world, like John Jantz is on here posting stuff, and I saw Jim Kukroll on your forums, and which I thought was awesome. And his comment is, "Hey, no one ever told me that Small Biz Trends had forums." So he's, he was. I'm giving him a shout out because he's got an awesome book there too. Now the other one that we've got here is tweakyourbiz.com, which was formerly known as Blogger Tone. So what's the scoop behind Tweak Your Biz so that people can figure that one out too?
So Blogger Tone was started by Niall Devitt in Ireland and Facundo Vieira and Fred Caballero. who are, I think, both originally from Spain, and they have a web design agency based in Dublin and also in London. So they started this site, group blogging site, based on WordPress MU, multi-user, back in 2009. And, they really have built up something wonderful with high quality contributions from professionals, all original content, many of them based in Ireland, UK, but US, all over. And so they approached me last year about coming on board because we had partnered on some things with bizsugar. They learned of me through bizsugar. And I really like them. I really respect everything they've done. And of course, the contributors at BloggerTone have been great. So I came on board. I acquired an ownership interest in BloggerTone and became the CEO of BloggerTone. And then we started putting our heads together about, well, what do we do with this? We wanted it to be more than a group blogging site. We wanted to serve the core audience. So we decided to rebrand it so that it wasn't focused on the name blog, as in BloggerTone, but it would be broader. And we came up with the name Tweak Your Biz because that's the whole point of participating at the site and reading the site, is that you learn information that you can use to just tweak a little bit about your biz, make it a little bit better. And so we just did the rebrand and changed the domain name literally last week. So that was completed last week. In the coming months, we are launching a series of tools that will help you actually publish better, get more online visibility around the articles that you publish. So if you want to publish as a strategy to develop your expert status and bring visibility to yourself for your personal brand or for your business, we're going to have tools that will help you do that.
Awesome.
So it's same general market of small business and entrepreneurs, but with some slight changes, more of an international focus, not quite so much North America, and also that we're going to have tools there.
Now, the tools, are they going to be free or pay for or a combination?
A combination. Okay. The first one we're coming out with is going to be very exciting, and I think people are going to absolutely love it. We actually have it. It doesn't have a pretty face on it. It needs its makeup.
So we'll have to have you back on when that goes up so that you can tell us more about it, because I'm intrigued now. It's kind of like when you have that little invention and you just lift the corner of it to show somebody and you say, "Yeah, it's going to change the world," right? I'm not going to ask you what it is, because
Chris is having an aha moment,
letting the cat out of the bag, right? So, but same sort of thing. You've got all the information across the top here with your sales, your finance, marketing. Everything kind of just wraps around those common threads, right? The sales, finance, marketing, management, growth, technology, small biz, everything that rolls into that world.
Yeah, and I would say on Tweak Your Biz, there's a lot that's operational, but there's some unique flavors there too. There are some great videos on Tweak Your Biz. I am absolutely impressed with how well some of the contributors there have taken to doing interviews, and they just have such they're good interviews. They're like 15-minute video interviews of really interesting people, like from Dragon's Den, which is the Irish equivalent of like the Shark Tank.
Yeah, it's called that up here too, so
it okay? So you know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So, some really interesting interview, and they're very. There's a lot of personality that comes through in them too. That's what I like.
I haven't had a chance to look at them, but I will look at them. Just on the other sites, you've got some other ones that just one, the Small Business CEO. That's your own personal site, is it not? Or oh no, it looks like there's other people contributing there too.
That one has a story too. A friend and colleague of mine, Steve Rosinski, that I started my radio podcast show with back in 2005. That was his site, his blog, Small Business CEO. And then he went off and he became vice president of marketing and executive for a couple of other companies. And after a while, we were talking one day and he said, would you like to take over small business CEO? He said, I just can't keep it up anymore. I'm so busy with my roles. I hate to just see the site sit there. So I said, yeah. So he gave me the site, basically. And we took it over, and we've kept it, we've kept it up to date. It is an interesting blog where we use it to do some guest posts sometimes. Sometimes people who, we're sort of trying out, maybe to see how well they do, maybe see if they're interested in blogging on a more regular basis on small business trends. Because we like to have people on small business trends who not just come in and do one post, but who develop a relationship with the community, and the community develops a relationship. So maybe if a blogger isn't quite sure they want to do more than one post, we'll see how they do at Small Business CEO, and then if they find, oh, I like this, we've had some of them move over to Small Business Trends.
Gotcha.
So Anita, are these all isolated individual blog sites, or is there some cross-posting that you do between the different sites?
No, we run them separately. We of course cross-link because they're all part of the family, and we're not trying to hide them, but no, they're all separate content, and as time goes on, they're going to have more and more of their flavor, their own flavor of what they do. And but we not only have separate sites, we have, for example, a separate site for our radio podcast show, but we're actually going to be consolidating that under the main Small Business Trends site. There's no point anymore to having a separate site. It seems like it would work better under Small Business Trends.
You've got some great interviews on here too, by the way. Just before you move it over, you got was it smbtrendwire.com is the site, and I see you got Charles Green on here, Charles H. Green. We have to make sure that there's a distinction there. We're interviewing him next Thursday. So we've got him in there. But you got a lot of great information on here. Now, the one thing is we are coming up on to the allotted amount of time, and I always ask our guests pretty much one question at the end. And what it is what is your single best piece of advice that you could give to anyone who's in business? And it could relate to creating a blog, doing whatever it is, or it could be overarching as to anything. So what is the one single best piece of advice that you could give to anyone who's in business?
Well, I give this advice, and I give it to myself, too. I have little talks with myself about this and have to keep reminding myself.
There are doctors that can help you with that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Anita.
Oh, Chris.
It's very true, but I do try to talk to myself and coach myself about this, and the point is to focus on sales and revenue, and I can't emphasize that enough because a lot of people get involved in business because they're good at something that they do, but they're not maybe good at sales and bringing in revenue. And sales cure a lot of things. If they cure lack of profit, they can cure lack of profitability. Not always, and they're not always the answer. But more often than not, having more sales helps a lot of ills in any business. And so my advice would be just always be focusing on sales, on revenue. If you have to write yourself a little reminder on a Post-it note and put it on your bathroom mirror so that you look at it every morning, do that. Whatever it is. If you send yourself a message on your mobile phone every once in a while about, my focusing enough on sales and revenue, make sure you're looking at your financial numbers every month, and you're looking, not only at expenses, but much more importantly, you're looking at your sales and your sales pipeline, your forecast, and focus on that, because if you focus on that, that solves a lot of issues.
That's an excellent piece of advice, actually.
And that's what Chris always reminds me is, have you spent that, 20% of your day on sales? Was it 20%?
Yeah,
even more?
It depends, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have a lot of clients going on, it's like 100% of your day, obviously. But no, it's an excellent point. I mean, Guy Kawasaki, The Art of the Start, I think is the book. And they don't necessarily paraphrase it that way, but it's the exact same thing. Is you don't really have a business if you don't have sales, right? Is what it comes down to. Mm-hmm. And you always have to be going after and trying to figure out, how do you keep that door open the next day, right? And I'm a firm believer that people say that money can't buy happiness are the people that don't have money, right? So it's it's going to be money will help you do what you want to do, and obviously back to your point is make sure that you have the revenue, because if the revenue is driving it, then you have got the ability to take the business where you want it to go, obviously. So
I do have a question.
Oh, do you? Excellent.
Yes,
Anita, we have a question for you.
Here's one. And you know what? I was going to ask this question earlier. Heather has asked a question. Can you give new online publishers some advice on how to get started?
Is that Heather Stone that's writing in here?
I'm not going to answer that.
Okay.
If it is, hi, Heather.
Mm-hmm. Well, as far as publishing, I think it's make sure you've got regular sources of content, and it means opening it up to guest posters, guest bloggers. Guest blogging is very hot these days. A lot of people want to do it. So you might even make sure you have a button on your site that says, submit a guest post. And a page that's titled "Submit a Guest Post," mm-hmm. because a lot of times these days people will actually go to Google and search for sites that have those words like "Submit a Guest Post" or "Write for us" or something. So making sure you have content, because remember, this idea that content drives growth of a publishing business. The more content in general, the more that business is going to grow. And so that's a key thing. And then social media, I think, is key to spreading the word these days inexpensively. Mm-hmm. That's how you're going to build your audience, through social media. So you need to be very, very active on it. And you need to be focusing on, developing relationships, spreading the word. Using sites like bizsugar is a perfect way to help spread the word too. bizsugar is a social media type of site. Mm-hmm. So, seek out these sites that are relevant to whatever you're publishing on, and make sure you're using them to spread the word, amplify. Think of yourself with a megaphone, not just, blathering on mindlessly, but in a good way, that you're using a megaphone to target out your message, your content, and you're getting it out there on a regular basis.
Awesome.
Great. I got another one kind of in the same flavor, and to be honest, I think a lot of questions towards this are obviously from those that are new to blogging. It's kind of daunting. How do you get started? How do you get the momentum on blogging? Because really what it is it's momentum and focus and getting a following and feeling like you have viewers. It's tough to get to that. And so I have one here from, let me see now. This one is from Eric. And so, hello, Anita. Hello, Chris. I have a question about blogging. Currently, I do not blog, but I have been playing with this idea over the last few months since I began to utilize Chris Hamilton's sales tip a day. Yay, there's a plug for Chris. I'm a young sales professional in Western Canada and am an absolute loss on how to blog. What would I blog about to generate and increase my own personal sales brand? He's in telecommunications and consultants and all that. So medium-sized enterprise. So really, it's more of the same, but I think it's content related, right? It's really hard to get to that content piece. And how do you focus on that content?
Well, I think that the one thing I would say is always step inside your customer's shoes or your target audience shoes. So if imagine I'm your target audience, what do I want to read about? Mm-hmm. What's going to help me in my business? What's going to help me, learn more and stay on top of current trends or whatever it is in my business? And, that is what should drive the content that you put on your blog. And, I so often see blogs for companies and so on that get way off track, and I don't understand this. And I even see guest posters do this. People will come along and they'll say, I want to guest blog in order to, become better known. And then, maybe they have sales expertise, but then they start submitting posts on SEO or something, and it's like, stick with what you know. You're the expert in what you know, and even if you think that the topic might be a little narrower, it's better to own and dominate in that topic that's going to help you in your business than, just to be another voice talking about, Twitter or something like that. Not that that's wrong to talk about Twitter. I'm just saying, though, if you have some expertise that makes you unique, be writing about that so that people will find you eventually in the search engines, and they'll associate your name with that area. And that's how you're going to attract customers.
So I have my take on it. I think if he's out calling on people on a regular basis, ask him what things keep them up at night, and then find out how he finds a solution for fixing that. So if he's in the telecommunication world, you know what it could be? It could be cash flow problems for companies. Could be this, could be that. And he could be looking at, not even worrying about that telecommunication side. But I'll tell you what, if you talk about how do I solve a cash flow problem by doing this, and you hit a CFO or a CEO of a company and they see your name, you look like Mr. Smarty Pants. And because of that, you will be taken a lot more serious, and people will come in and look at your content, obviously. People love tips, tricks, and solving problems. That's what I find.
Here's one from Bill in California. I'm a terrible writer.
Hi, Bill. So am I.
How do you feel about using a ghostwriter to write the articles for a blog?
People have their own points of view. I actually think that that's not a bad thing if you do a couple of things. First of all, I would give your ghostwriter a few notes to get started so that they're your thoughts. And secondly, I wouldn't just take a ghostwritten piece and just post it as is. I would use it as a draft that you work with. And when you get the draft, you go through and you change it. You add nuance and detail that only you would know, that a writer would not necessarily know, and you make it sound like you. But if, I say whatever tools, whatever services help you, I'm all for them. Why should you slog on your own trying to do everything? If that helps you get published, do it.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Kirsten, we've gone way beyond what time we told Anita we would go beyond. But you know what? We get questions and we start asking, and we kind of lose track of the time. So
And for anyone that has, I've got a few more here that I'm just reading through. If you have more questions, please go ahead and post them. I will forward them on to Anita, and we can get those answered later on. This is going to be rebroadcast, obviously. So if you have questions now and are watching this as a recorded version, feel free to go ahead and ask those questions. That question form is live, and it will be answered. So,
and I have a good idea.
Why
would they not go over to smallbusinesstrends.com/members, sign up as a member, and then post some of those questions in there?
My suggestion
How's that sound?
would be to do anything that it takes to connect with Anita. So,
exactly.
And I guess that leads to how to get a hold of her.
Yeah, Anita, how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah.
Well, one of the best ways is to find me on Twitter. I actually personally handle the Small Biz Trends account on Twitter. So I do have some of the content automated, but I check all of the replies. I check all of the direct messages. So that's one of the best ways to reach me.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
And last but not least, just a really quick recap of the sites, smallbiztrends.com.
Yep.
And go to smallbiztrends.com/members for the forum, which I'm really digging now. I'm starting to get in there, and I will start posting more and more, obviously. bizsugar, which is like one of my faves. I love the site and just the information that comes out of it. The other one now, you got tweakyourbiz.com, which sounds like a lot of great stuff coming down the pipeline on that. So that's going to be so cool on that one. For the short term, you got your Small Business CEO and also the Small Business Trends Radio, which I'm looking at, and it's great. You got some really good interviews on there, and I think some valuable information. So With that being said,
how you keep track of all that, I have no idea. I struggle with 3 right now. So you must have a fantastic team working with you, Anita.
I do. They are a wonderful team, and I absolutely think, they're the best. You guys are wonderful.
Great.
Well, we greatly appreciate you coming on. It was finally nice to meet you face to face, even though it's kind of through pixels, but good to get to meet you that way. And if you should so want to in the future, please grace us with your presence again. We'd love to have you back on.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. My pleasure, guys. You're wonderful. This is very enjoyable.
Thank you very much, Anita.
And thank you, live audience, for helping out with the questions. We always appreciate your participation. Cheers, and see you next time. That's great.
Awesome.
Thanks, Anita.
Okay.
Hey,